Question. Real estate in California. What the Seriously, can someone help? What's an escrow? What's an ARM? What is an REO? What is pre-approval? Can I get pre-approval? Why is inventory so low? Why are interest rates so high? Oh, interest rates not so high? How low is low? How not so high is right.
Before you go down the road of questions, get expert help at championsofhome.com. California Association of Realtors. Who's your realtor?
Yeah. They told you what to think, not how to think. Time to wake up. DeProgrammed. Yeah. Static in my head, yeah, they feed it through the screen. Every headline scripted, every angle too clean. They sell fear, sell lies, dress it up as truth. But I see through the smoke, yeah, I'm back to the root. They don't want faith, they want blind compliance. Cancel conviction, silence defiance. But I got fire, ain't hiding that light. Truth in my chest, yeah, I came to fight. They twist what's real, redefine right. Call wrong, progress keep dimming the light. But I read between lines, I don't follow the wave. I was lost, now I'm found, yeah, I broke from the cave. I won't bow, I won't bend. Truth don't change with the trend. Through the noise, through the lies, I can finally see with open eyes. Break the signal, cut the lies. Hear the truth, it never dies. Turn it up, let it roar. We ain't playing this game no more. DeProgrammed, yeah, we rise. Faith and fire in our eyes. Stand tall, unashamed, we were lost. But now we're deprogrammed. To a joke, make conviction feel old. But I stand on the word, yeah, solid, unshaken. Every lie they built up, yeah, it's all gonna break it. I see culture shift quick like sand in a tide. But truth don't drift, it don't run, it don't hide. They can mock, they can shout, try to bury the name. But the light breaks through, yeah, burst to the shame. This ain't rage, this is purpose and aim. We bring heat, but we ain't get the flame. Not programmed, not bought, not sold. We speak life, we don't fold. Yeah. It's more than a podcast. It's a wake-up call. Faith over fear. Truth over all. You don't gotta stay asleep. You don't gotta play along. Break the chains. Find your voice. This where you belong. It never dies. Turn it up, let it roar. We ain't playing this game no more. DeProgrammed, yeah, we rise. Faith and fire in our eyes. Stand tall, unashamed, we were lost. But now we're deprogrammed.
Hello, welcome back to DeProgrammed with Revolver Broadcasting, or welcome to DeProgrammed with Revolver Broadcasting. I am Joshua Cummins, and this podcast is obviously brought to you we're on EA Truth Radio, of course, but it's brought to you by EternalAffairsMedia.com. The website again is EternalAffairsMedia.com. So if you would go and visit that website, also if you wouldn't mind checking out RevolverBroadcasting.com, that's my home network. That's the company that I and a couple of my friends have built from the ground up. And so I'm in both places. So you can find me here and there. But yeah, be sure and check out all things EternalAffairsMedia.com. And there's all kinds of content for you to consume there, as well as revolverbroadcasting.com. Make sure you guys are liking this content. Make sure you guys are commenting on this content. We love, love, love comments. We want you to subscribe or follow depending upon the platform that you're viewing or listening on. And also make sure that you're sharing this content, because sharing is caring. Oh, and a button did not work. There's things are just breaking in the studio here today. I had a sound that was going to play, but soundboard seems to be. You do a restart. Let's see if I can get it to pull up here. Oh, it says start it, failed to start. Huh. All kinds of things. Okay. Because it's not responding. Oh, there, now it's responding. Okay. Now we can do it. Sharing is caring.
Oh, yeah.
I wasn't going to go without it. Just can't move forward without that. Anyway, what are we going to be talking about today over here on DeProgrammed? What are we going to be talking about today? Well, you might want to take a look with me. The fact that the CIA whistleblower has alleged that there was a cover-up of COVID-19 lab leak intelligence. Who would have guessed that? They only joked about it on mainstream television, and yet they were still like, no, there was no cover-up. Come on. Anyway, we'll get into it as we go along, and of course, we'll be talking about how a CIA spooks had spied on Tulsi Gabbard's team as it probed deep state whistleblower. The whistleblower alleges this. And the High Court rejects Virginia bid to restore voting map favoring Dems. And we're going to be talking about that. We're going to be hearing about what Fetterman's got to talk about. He said the Democratic base is becoming increasingly anti-American. I think you're going to see Fetterman change the D to an R beside his name. I'm pretty sure. I think next election cycle, I think you're going to see him switch teams. And then you have Rubio. He's talking about how Iran cannot pressure Trump. They just don't have any kind of leverage to do so. And last but not least, we'll be talking about Sunny Hostin. I don't care. She's on The View. She's ugly. She's mean. She's a horrid person. And she says that Helen of Troy can be played by a black woman if you know your history. Well, as a matter of fact, Sonny, I do know my history. And it says in the Odyssey that Helen of Troy had pale arms. And if she had pale arms, she likely had a pale body, which means Helen of Troy was white. She definitely was not black and definitely didn't look anything like, I don't even know how to say her name, Lupita Nyong'o. And she's the one that's playing Helen of Troy in the new Odyssey film, of which I've already chosen not to see because they said, here, let's make the Odyssey, but let's make it trans and gay and black. The Odyssey is Greek, which makes the people that all the main characters white. Or, at least, because Greeks are, they're like a slightly tanned white. They kind of a light bronze white. Anyway, yeah. I mean, who here has seen my big fat Greek wedding? That's what Greeks look like. They don't look black. They don't look trans. They don't look, retarded. I digress. Anyway, because we'll get into that story and all these things. But just before we do, I want to remind people that you can get hefty discounts on My Pillow, and I happen to love My Pillow. I've got 2 of them, as a matter of fact. And if you'd like to support truthful media, Truthful Media Ministry, as well as Mike Lindell and Fair Elections, which we're trying so hard to accomplish here. Use promo code ETERNAL, ETERNAL, at mypillow.com. You can get up to 88% off depending on what sales are running. They have many products besides just My Pillows. Just go take a look today. Remember to use promo code ETERNAL at mypillow.com. Now that we've paid the bills, let's go over to the news desk and see what's in the news, right? Get this pulled up here and this graphic over here. And why is this stuff gone? Oh, I gotta pull my photographs up. I forgot. I restarted my computer. That changes everything for us. It changes everything for us. So I've got to do a few things here. Just don't mind me. I'm just adjusting my computer so that I can have things up for you guys, and we can continue. I'm doing it live. I'm doing it live.
No. We'll do it live.
And it's just the way it's got to be, guys. But stick around with me, and we're going to get into these news stories. I promise. I mean, we are at the news desk after all. I know I'm normally more organized than this, and you're disappointed in me, but I'm sure it's going to be worth it. I know it's going to be worth it. So don't go anywhere. Just hold that dial. Okay, one more. All righty. Now that the dominoes are in place, let's knock them down, shall we? CIA, this is from the Western Journal. CIA whistleblower alleges cover-up of COVID-19 lab leak intelligence. Scientists repeatedly concluded that a lab accident caused the COVID-19 pandemic, but more senior bureaucrats watered down and suppressed their conclusions. A CIA senior operations officer testified to Congress on Wednesday. The CIA officer and whistleblower James E. Erdman III, write that down. If you have a notebook or you have notes on your phone, write that down somewhere. James E. Erdman III, because I have a feeling that he's going to disappear. So just make sure that you remember that name, James E. Erdman III. He described under oath in a hearing called by Senator Rand Paul on Wednesday a pattern of obstruction that promoted the conclusions of a tight-knit group of virologists close to Anthony Fauci, while downplaying the conclusions of the intelligence community's own biological experts. Erdman recently departed from a task force organized by Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard to dig into whether the CIA violated its own analytic standards and in its assessment of the cause of the deadliest pandemic in a century. Even from that perch, Gabbard's office ostensibly oversees the CIA. Erdman faced continued bureaucratic stonewalling from the spy agency. As Erdman and Gabbard dug into the apparent cover-up, the CIA denied the task force documents, illegally surveyed its members, and fired one of its witnesses the day after the committee interviewed that witness, the whistleblower testified. Coincidentally, whenever the CIA investigates itself, it never finds any wrongdoing, Erdman said. The accountability piece has to happen for this is just going to keep happening. Fauci and the CIA didn't immediately respond to the request for comment. About 7 CIA subject matter experts concluded that the origin of the COVID pandemic to be a lab accident during a 90-day assessment of the evidence ordered by former President Joe Biden. But when the experts delivered their scientific analysis to the intelligence community's National Counter Proliferation, and I had to sound it out, sorry, and Biosecurity Center, it made little impact with the bureaucratic higher-ups. Erdman said that the analysis was countered with a new report, and that its conclusion underwent a middle of the night rewrite to read, "We never precisely know the origins of SARS-CoV-2." Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, sure. But it says here that the change was made sometime in the 5 days between August 12th, 2023 and August 17th, 2023, but Gabbard's team was not able to access the necessary documents to find out why. These CIA experts received exceptional performance reviews and bonuses sometime after that. Follow the money. Follow the money. Paul also cited that biological sciences experts group, BSEG, an advisory panel to the intelligence community on biological weapons. University of North Carolina virologist Ralph Barrick, a close collaborator of the Wuhan Institute of Virology on engineering coronavirus like SARS-CoV-2, who met with Fauci in February 2020, serves on the BSEG. The Daily Caller News Foundation first reported the role of the BSEG and NCBC in suppressing COVID intelligence last year. Despite overseeing a civilian agency at the National Institutes of Health, Fauci injected himself into the intelligence community's assessments through his influence over the BSEG and by advising the National Intelligence Council to consult his own handpicked scientists, Erdman said. So the plot, she thickens. This is validation for one. So thank you, Western Journal, for writing this article. But furthermore, thank you, Erdman, James E. Erdman III, for whistleblowing on these things. And Tulsi, you have the ability. You don't. Our offices could not obtain. No, you will obtain. You tell them you're the director. You run this ship. Hand it over, or you don't have a job anymore. And as a matter of fact, you owe the government money because you didn't do your job for a very long time, apparently. You owe the government back pay. You can't cover things up and, oh, it's okay, you still have a job. You can still operate around here, even though you covered up things and you tried to block the director from obtaining documents. Have you ever been to a job where you told your boss, no, I can't let you obtain these documents? Because all I know is that every job that I've ever had, if you have a director and they tell you, hand this information over, you better, or it's your butt in a sling. And that's the way it should be. So they need to, Tulsi, you need to press your thumb down and actually, well, just press your thumb at all. I think that this is an excuse. Well, they were trying to dig into it, but they just couldn't obtain this. No, I don't accept that. You need to do your job too. But this little booger right here next to me, this turned the world upside down on gaslighting and layers of lies. And we're not going to live for it anymore. They're trying to do it with this the hantavirus. Oh no, you got to run, hide, put the mask on. We'll do 7 feet this time. We'll do 7 feet distancing this time. If you start wearing a mask now and you comply now, I'm telling you, as a friend, you're an idiot. Plain and simple. Idiot. Don't believe it. But the rocks just keep rolling with the CIA and, and Tulsi, because they spied on her. Now, allegedly, there was some kind of a raid, but then that was backpedaled. Seems kind of odd to me that all these sources were reporting it, and then all of a sudden, no, that didn't happen. I think people were visited. So I'm going to report it as I think it happened. I'm not going to say that it did happen. I'm going to say that I think it happened. That's not even based on a gut feeling. That's just taking a look at history. It's staring us right in the face, folks. But from the Daily Caller, second article of the afternoon here, CIA spooks spied on Tulsi Gabbard's team as it probed deep state. They're looking for these documents. This whistleblower alleged the CIA illegally surveyed on its own intelligence community colleagues who were overseeing the agency's clandestine work and investigating allegations of wrongdoing, according to a congressional letter and an attorney representing whistleblowers. The CIA listened in on the interviews. I don't think they should have been allowed to do that. I think that should have been closed doors. They should have had to sit outside. This is an investigation on them, after all. And watch the computer activity of a task force working under the Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard. The letter alleges Gabbard's team, the Director's Initiatives Group, or DIG, sought to review and declassify documents related to spy world abuses, including suppressed scientific evidence that COVID-19 was lab-made and fabricated intelligence, painting President Donald Trump as a tool of Russia. CIA officer Jim Erdman, there's that name again, the third, a member of the DIG, made the explosive allegation in written testimony to Senator Rand Paul's Committee on Homeland Security and Governmental Affairs, which Paul published as an attachment to a congressional letter to Langley on Thursday. The CIA did not immediately respond to requests for comment there either. Erdman declined to comment, directing questions to his attorney. As he should. He needs to be protected. He needs to have armed guards 24/7. A team. He needs to have like a full tactical team with him at all times. This man needs to be protected because I believe he's telling the truth. I believe he's surfacing something that they've been trying to hide for a very long time, and he just happened to make it this far. Because I think that the deep state, the CIA. Let's be honest, a lot of the CIA they had plans for a shallow grave for this fella, but he's here, and now we know his name, and we got to keep a close eye on him. As spy chief, Gabbard oversees the CIA, but America's most secretive spy agency bristled at the scrutiny. The letter indicates CIA spies constantly monitor the team's fledgling attempts to apply oversight and often impeded them, Erdman wrote. Erdman, who led the team's efforts on the origins of COVID, testified in Senate hearing Wednesday about a pattern of obstruction that elevated the work of scientists close to Fauci, who promoted the theory that COVID emerged from an animal over the work of some of the intelligence community's own biological weapons experts, who often favored the theory the pandemic emerged from a lab. But his written testimony provides greater detail about his allegations of CIA obstruction. Committee witnesses' written testimony is typically published before a hearing gets underway, but Erdman's statement was initially held back for fear of CIA retaliation. if you have fear of your own organization that you're running, it's time to clean house. It's time to clean house. You know who the bad actors are. They become detained until such time. You've been pointed out, and you will be detained until such a time. We've got to find the rats. I hope you're not one. That's how I would do it. But Erdman wrote, he said, I am testifying here today because in my year with DIG, the CIA obstructed lawful oversight related to the DIG's work and retaliated against the DIG with what he believes were illegal investigations into DIG members. So likely raids and following them around and leaving, hints that if you don't quit digging, that we're going to do this, that, or the other to you or your family. And he says here, in addition to spying on the group's work, the CIA withheld documents and information ordered for declassification, denied the team access to necessary information, and withheld information from Gabbard herself, the letter states. This limited the team's access to documents related to the assassination of President John F. Kennedy and anomalous health incidents, or Havana syndrome. Erdman alleges that the team investigating anomalous health incidents found that third parties listened in on their interviews, even in the secure rooms. So they had plants everywhere. And I guarantee you, if you follow the money here, this goes so much deeper. I guarantee you, if you follow the money here, you're going to find not just Congress people involved, Senate, but a lot of non-government agencies, NGOs. I think you're going to find a lot of things attached to this, a lot of foreign money attached to this. Because how else could these people still operate and still have jobs after undermining their boss? Right? How does that happen? Well, hopefully we can fix things, at least in the voting front. And in Virginia, things are looking up because the High Court, according to Newsmax, the High Court rejects Virginia bid to restore voting map favoring Democrats. That's our next story. The Supreme Court on Friday rejected Virginia's bid to restore a congressional map that would have given Democrats a chance to pick up 4 seats in the closely divided House of Representatives. The court's order, issued without any noted dissent, is the latest twist in the nation's mid-decade redistricting competition. It was kicked off last year by President Donald Trump urging Republican-controlled states to redraw their lines, and was supercharged by a recent Supreme Court ruling severely weakened by the Voting Rights Act that opened up even more winnable seats for the GOP. In recent days, the justices have sided with Republicans in Alabama and Louisiana, who hope to redo their congressional maps to produce more GOP-leaning seats following the court's voting rights decision. But the Virginia situation was different, stemming from a 4-3 ruling by Virginia Supreme Court that struck down a constitutional amendment that voters narrowly passed just last month. The state court found that the Democratic-controlled legislature improperly began the process of placing the amendment on the ballot after early voting and had begun in Virginia's general election last fall. The Supreme Court typically doesn't intervene in state proceedings unless they present an issue of federal law. Virginia Democrats had hoped to persuade the justices that the Virginia court misread federal law and Supreme Court precedent that hold that, even if early voting is underway, an election does not happen until Election Day itself. Virginia's amendment had been intended as a response to Republican gains in Texas, Missouri, North Carolina, and Ohio, and to blunt a new map in Florida that just became law. Once the Virginia amendment passed, it briefly turned the nationwide redistricting scramble into a draw between the two parties. That was unraveled by the Virginia Supreme Court's decision. It's possible Democrats could use High Court's rejection of their bid while also blessing Republican efforts in Alabama and Louisiana in election year messaging about a partisan Supreme Court. The state's top Democrats disagreed about whether it was even too late for help from the Supreme Court. Time grows short, but it is not yet too late. Lawyers for the Democratic leaders of the legislature, as well as the state, told justices in a brief filed Friday. A day earlier, the office of Democrat Governor Abigail Spanberger already had confirmed that the state will hold this year's elections under the current districts established in 2021 last month. Virginia Commissioner of Elections Steve Koski said a court order was needed by this past Tuesday to set the district lines for primary elections on August 4th. The leader of the state's Republican Party said the justices made the right call. Wisely, the Supreme Court of the United States has confirmed the judgment of the Supreme Court of Virginia. State Party Chairman Jeff Ryder said, This should once and for all put to rest the Democrats' effort to disenfranchise half of Virginia because they want to draw lines based on race. You can't draw lines based on race. That's called discrimination. That's called racism. Oh, well, the white people live over there, so we were going to make sure that we cut around them. Oh, only the black people live here. And this little section says we want that section for us. We want we've got to have these. Oh, here's the Hispanic community. We want some of them. We want to make sure that we get the ones that just vote Democrat, though. We'll draw the lines around them. You can't do that. And they did make the right decision. And it's another win for us. It may seem like a small win to a lot of you, but this sets up dominoes for all these other blue states that want to gerrymander in a very incorrect and illegal way. They're going to find their butts in a sling, so to speak. And when it comes to elections, I think that the Democrats are going to find themselves their butts in an even deeper sling because this next article coming from Town Hall, Fetterman says that the Democratic base is becoming increasingly anti-American. Now, for grabbing votes in America, being anti-American is probably not a good look. Fetterman said that the Democrat Party is increasingly becoming a pariah. Or says he's increasingly becoming a pariah within his own party. That's why I said I think he's going to change his D to an R as soon as he can. If you didn't already know that, he's likely to lose re-election because Democrats in his state can't stand him. And there aren't enough Republicans and independents to save him. He's rejected this move, but switching parties isn't an option. For starters, he admits he wouldn't agree with the GOP on some major issues. That may be true, but I think he'll still try to change. Even if not this cycle, the next for sure. He'll come back touting all new ideas. But he says also there's no way Pennsylvania Republicans would let him just take that slot in the next election. There will be a primary, and he'd lose. So he's going to do what he can to make D.C. work, I guess. Who knew he would become the next Joe Manchin of the Senate? A Democrat who's reasonable. It just took a clunk on the head. Fetterman has irritated his party on several issues, like Operation Epic Fury, border security, the ballroom, and others. But now he's concerned that his base is a hotbed of anti-Americanism. He's not wrong. He is not wrong. And he hit the nail on the head for what's driving it. It's Trump. It's this Trump derangement syndrome that all these people have. The TDS is so strong on that East Coast, buddy, which is now spilled into an ethic of burning everything down to defeat the president. Amid the chaos, the Looney Tune academics who've been anti-American for a long time have seized on the chaos. It hasn't been pretty. And I think you're going to keep seeing this for a time. I think there's a day coming when a lot of this is going to flip. It may even be as early as tomorrow, because we have the National Jubilee. Let me pull up my notes here because I have the exact event that's happening tomorrow. National Jubilee of Prayer, Praise, and Thanksgiving happens tomorrow. Donald Trump announced it, and he's going to rededicate America as one nation under God tomorrow. Not about you, but praise God for that. Over on my show, Morning Word, the Bible study that my friend Sterling and I do, we've been praying for this nation to turn back to God for a long time. As a matter of fact, one of the major prayers that we had was that there was going to be worship at the White House and that people would be able to see it. Well, once a month on the White House's YouTube, there's worship at the White House. We prayed that there would be Bible reading for a very long time. People would hear the scriptures in this country again. And wouldn't you know it, they spent, I think, somewhere around 11 to 12 days reading the Bible. America Reads the Bible was an event. You can go back and watch all the books, all 66. They read them back to back to back. And even Trump got in on the action and read scripture. It was so wonderful to see that on television. I think a lot of hearts were changed. I think a lot of people were brought to the Lord because of it. And tomorrow, because today is the 16th of May, 2026. So tomorrow, National Jubilee of Prayer, Praise, and Thanksgiving. Rededication of America back to one nation under God. And I hope and I pray that because of that, a lot of hearts will be changed. This anti-Americanism will start dissipating because they'll go, oh, this nation is actually a Christian nation. And well, I like the sound of this Jesus guy because, well, he died for my sins. And he gave me mercy and grace. And if a country can uphold those values, then I want to be part of that country. And if they don't, well, we can help them pack. We can help them pack. We'll find them a place where it's completely godless and they can live in that awful place. Because any place that doesn't have God has got to be awful. That's for sure. Up next, let's talk about Marco Rubio for a second. Let's talk about Marco Rubio. As Rubio says that Iran cannot pressure Trump. They just simply can't. Coming from Newsmax, says here, Secretary of State Marco Rubio said Thursday that Iran will not be able to use rising energy prices in the U.S. to force President Donald Trump into an unfavorable peace agreement. He defended the administration's posture as Trump concluded a Beijing summit with Chinese President Xi Jinping, focused in part on ending the war and reopening the Strait of Hormuz. In an interview with NBC News anchor Tom Lamas, Rubio pushed back on whether Trump appeared out of touch for saying he does not weigh Americans' financial situations when negotiating with Tehran. What the president's making clear is if the Iranians think that they are going to use our domestic politics to pressure him into a bad deal, that's not going to happen, Rubio said. He argued that the administration had taken extraordinary measures to keep fuel prices below those in other parts of the world. Rubio predicted a dramatic reduction in oil prices once the shipping route reopens, saying pent-up oil that's being held hostage by Iran will hit the market and ease costs. He also tied the dispute to nuclear stakes, warning that a nuclear-armed Iran could control the shipping lane indefinitely. Forget about it being a 3-month or 6-month problem. It could be a permanent one, he said. About 20% of the world's petroleum supply normally moves through the Strait of Hormuz, according to U.S. Energy Information Administration data. Shipping through the strategic waterway has been at a near standstill since the war began in late February. Rubio said Beijing told U.S. officials it opposes the militarization of the strait and a tolling system Iran has sought to impose, and reiterated its opposition to Iranian nuclear weapons. He framed the U.S. Naval blockade of Iranian shipping as a direct result of Tehran's moves on the waterway. Beijing's public posture was more measured. China's foreign ministry said Friday that there is no point in continuing this conflict, which should not have happened in the first place, urging an early resolution and calling force a dead end. The Chinese readout of the Trump-Xi talks did not specifically mention Iran or the Strait of Hormuz. The diplomatic exchange unfolded amid negotiations. A U.S.-Iran ceasefire has held since April 7th, but Trump this week called Iran's response to U.S.'s 14-point framework totally unacceptable and said that the truce was on massive life support. Iran has countered with its own list of demands, including an end to the U.S. blockade, sanctions relief, and disputed control of the strait. Iranian Parliament Speaker Mohammad Bagher Ghalibaf, Tehran's lead negotiator, warned on X that the longer they drag their feet, the more American taxpayers will pay for it. Brent crude rose above $104 a barrel this week as the standoff continued. Well, I think we're just reloading. I mean, if you want to keep arguing, we'll just keep dropping bombs until there's no more arguing to be had. I know there's a ceasefire right now, but you want to keep arguing, well, they'll just renew the 90-day strike and go in and bomb again. And when they go in and bomb again, guess what's going to happen? You thought it was decimated before. Yeah, your backyard's gone, but you still have your house. Oh, okay. We'll see how long that house lasts. Iran, you better just shut your mouth and sit down. You better just shut your mouth and sit down. You're in a room with the big boys, and well, there's a lot more firepower where that came from. People are like, "Oh, that's not going to work. It's not." Okay. We'll see how that. Let's see when we get to June. Let's see where it's at. Let's see where it's at in June. I think they'll be singing a different tune. Let's get into this last article. Yeah. Old Sunny Hostin, whatever her name is. Waste of air on The View. Just a group of hens cackling about things that they don't even know anything about. As a matter of fact, somehow she passed the bar after 9 tries or something like that. And she was a lawyer for a time, and then now she goes on and on air and complains about things that she doesn't understand. I really don't know how she could have possibly become a lawyer unless somebody was just like, oh, you know, she did this kind of favor, so just pass her. Yeah. You know what I'm saying. This final article comes from Breitbart, and Hostin says that Helen of Troy can be played by a black woman if you know your history. Well, I know my history, and we'll get to that in just a second. The article says on Thursday, ABC's The View co-host Sunny Hostin said that if you know history, Helen of Troy could be played by a black woman while discussing the rumored cast of Christopher Nolan's upcoming movie, The Odyssey. I used to be a big fan of Christopher Nolan's movies until I saw the cast. I just simply saw the cast of this new Helen of Troy, this new Odyssey movie. And I got to say, I never thought the Odyssey would just be trans and gay and, well, half black, which I don't know any black Greeks. I just don't. Do you? Do you know any black Greeks? I don't. It's like, you know, how many white Northern Africans do you know? Not many. The co-host Whoopi Goldberg said, my question is, why is this upsetting? Well, actual history. She says, why don't you just not go to the movie? I'm not going to go to the movie. She says, that's an easy solution. It is an easy solution. I'm not going to go to the movie. But the point of complaining is that this is Greek mythology we're messing with here. I didn't like the fact that they did some Egyptian movies with a bunch of white dudes. I didn't like it. Because these characters were explicitly Egyptian. I go around and I see this movie and I'm like, these dudes are whiter than me. Talking about Horus and all those other things. That's why it's upsetting, because we're trying to be historical here. Hostin said, well, that's an easy solution, but it's, I think, racism rears its ugly head often. It's racist to change people's race of what they were. And I know that the Odyssey was based on a story, but it's very clear that it was Greek mythology, which means the characters in that mythology are Greek. He said more often now than ever, I think in our country, but if you are a student of history, which I am a student of history, you know that scholars have debated for decades the extent to which Greek mythology and civilization were influenced by ancient Egypt and North Africa. She says, it is very clear that Andromeda is described as an Ethiopian princess. We have Othello, the Moor. She added, this idea was explored in a book called Black Athena. I think people should read it, she says, which argues the classical Greek culture is heavily indebted to Asiatic and Near Eastern roots. I actually taught Greek mythology to 8th graders, and so I covered this. So people that are saying that Helen of Troy could not possibly be played by a black woman don't know history. Well, no, she taught it for 8 years and she didn't know that Helen of Troy had pale arms. How many black women do you know that have pale arms? None, because they don't. Because pale arms belong to white women. They just do. And that's the truth. You can't just go through and change races of people who historically are very well understood of who they were in history. Anyway, they also got Ellen Page, who they've tried to rename Elliot Page, but they're not fooling anybody. It's Ellen Page. Ellen Page cut off her breasts and now calls herself a man, but she's not a man because you cannot become a man through surgery. You're either born a man or you're not. And if you're not born a man, then you're born, I don't know, a woman. Because there's only two possibilities. But what a load. What a load. Well, I think I've worn myself out going through these articles, guys. But I want to thank you once again for joining me here for DeProgrammed on Eternal Affairs Media and EA Truth Radio, brought to you once again by eternalaffairsmedia.com. Make sure and visit the website, eternalaffairsmedia.com. And yeah, you guys, please hit the like button. Please comment once again and share this content. Share, because we need not only is sharing caring, but this needs to go out. We need to show big tech. We need to show the TV that we don't need their CNN and Fox News. We don't need television news. As a matter of fact, you'd be more than happy to just find it right here online, streaming by people who are really seeking the truth. And for those of you who are on Rumble, I'm trying to set up a raid here. So let me just get that pulled up so that I can set that up. And as soon as I can find one of our friends being online, we'll get raided out. Got a couple clicks I got to make here. But while I'm trying to find one of my friends online and get you guys set up to be raided out, I want to remind you to stay in trouble. And I want to ask you, why do you think I say to stay in trouble? Well, I'm going to tell you. Because if you have Christ in your hearts, you will in fact be in trouble with the world. The world doesn't want you living under his grace. That's your salvation, first and foremost, and I pray that each and every one of you has that. I really do. The world doesn't want you praying to him, having a relationship with him. Definitely doesn't want you reading his word. And it for sure doesn't want you going out and doing something so dangerous as telling others about him. But I want to encourage you to do all that anyway. And to stay in trouble. Follow Jesus. Love you guys. See you around.
Question: real estate in California. What the Seriously, can someone help? What's an escrow? What's an ARM? What is an REO? What is pre-approval? Can I get pre-approval? Why is inventory so low? Why are interest rates so high? Oh, interest rates not so high? How low is low? How not so high is right?
Before you go down the road of questions, get expert help at championsofhome.com. California Association of Realtors. Who's your realtor?